What's up, Degenerate Nation? Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast. This is the weekend college basketball betting preview. I'm Stuckey, and joining me today are my fellow BBOC co-host, Greg Waddell, and the one and only Kai McKeon, filling in for Jim Root, who is traveling this weekend. Always happy to talk ball with Kai. Lot to get to today. Rapid fire for the weekend. We'll buy low, sell high. We'll do our futures roundtable, add another future to the portfolio, and just talk some hoop. It's been a pretty, I would say, entertaining week. I feel like so many of the marquee games this college basketball season have not disappointed. Like, there has been so many absolute thrillers, and it's been one hell of a season. I will say, before we get to kind of our takeaways from the week that was, a decent week for some bubble teams. I think more often than not, what you'll see, you don't fall into the trap where, like, okay, this team's on the bubble, they need to win, I'm going to bet them. You could do that at times, but sometimes you're paying a premium for that. And just keep in mind, there's a reason that team's on the bubble. But there was some big wins this week for teams on the bubble. Virginia Tech picking up a big win at Clemson. I thought Clemson, they've been a pretty consistent team all year. I thought that they just were in a horrible spot, right? Coming back from the West Coast trip, ACC teams have been dreadful having to play after going to Cal Stanford. They have Duke on deck. So I thought Clemson was a little lackadaisical, but Virginia Tech definitely deserves credit for that win. And it's a team that's been so close in so many games. And, you know, we'll see if that Boopy Miller 3-quarter length shot ends up keeping them out of the tournament. But pretty much a season-saving win for Virginia Tech. And then TCU picks up a huge win over Iowa State. Iowa State also in a tricky spot. You know, I mean, you look at their schedule coming up, it is absolutely vicious. 2 home games this weekend against top 10 teams, Kansas and Houston, Saturday, Monday. But TCU picked up a big win. If you're the committee, Kyle, I'll ask you, what do you do with TCU? It's a team that plays up. They're just like pesky. They play hard, and you know they have some. David Evans has played better of late. David Punch can do some things on the low block. I thought Tanner Toulson was huge in that game, but it's a very hard team to figure out because, I mean, this is a team that should have won at Kansas, could have beat Michigan. They now have wins over Iowa State, Wisconsin, Florida, but then they lost to New Orleans. Get it was the first game of the year, but it was at home. They lost to Notre Dame, Utah, Colorado. So they have some bad losses on their resume. What the hell do you do with TCU?
Yeah, their team sheet's funny. It's 4 Q1 wins and it's Q3 loss, Q4 loss. The New Orleans loss is an absolute killer. Unfortunately, it sticks with them. There's no erasing it. It's going to be there forever for the committee to see. Yeah, it's unfortunate. They should have beaten Notre Dame. They should have beaten Kansas. And if you win both those games, you're talking about a team that's definitely on the right side of the bubble. As of now, it's very bubbly. I think WAB has them like right outside. Their resume metrics on average are right outside. So they still have a lot of work to do. And it's a very competitive bubble this season. Probably is every single year, but this year I'm noticing more than usual.
Yep. I would tend to agree with that. All right, let's get to the week that was. Greg, I'll start with you. Any key takeaway or rant or anything you want to go?
Yeah, I want to rant about what everyone's ranting about for the second week in a row. Darren Peterson, I'm just tired of this in 2 ways for me. Number one, he's awesome. I just want to watch him play basketball. I don't really care about the why behind it. Every time he's on my television screen, I want to watch him play for 40 minutes. And more often than not, he's just not. And I really don't care what the reason is. I'm just frustrated as someone that's watching all these amazing freshmen have these monster performances. Kingston Flemings, Michael Brown this week, Keaton Wagler a week ago. It's like, this is an all-timer freshman group. He is the best of the best. And in limited spurts, it is special. And it just hangs over this Kansas season, which is the second path here. They're awesome as a team without him. and they'd be even more awesome with him. Of course they would, but this team's won 8 straight. They keep coming up clutch. I thought they were dead in the water when the ominous departure happened this week against Zona, and they fall down 6-0. But credit to that team. Melvin Council is a dog. I just want this to find some resolution down the stretch, and I am so afraid it's not going to by the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, Badunga was amazing in that game. Council kept coming. I mean, he finished 6 of 25. The presser after the game, he was looking at the box score and the stat sheet and seeing that he shot 25 shots and only made 6 was pretty funny, with Badunga saying, you gotta pass the rock more, brother. But yeah, I thought the Kansas interior defense was amazing that game. Maybe my best bet of the entire year, which means it has 0 chance of hitting, was I bet Kansas 13-1 to make the Final Four after they lost to West Virginia. And they've won 8 straight since. I think it's down to like 3 plus 350. But there's a lot of talk about this with Peterson, and rightfully so. And we'll see if he has any. I mean, I've never seen a guy have more flus in one season than Peterson. But now they're going to play on an experimental floor in the Big 12 tournament. Maybe that's just an excuse for him to get out of that. But there's a lot of talks, people saying that Kansas is better without him. I can see the argument at times for the ball movement, right? He's kind of a ball stopper, but in order for them to reach the overall ceiling and to beat some of the top teams, and not you're not going to be playing in Fog Allen on a Monday night where Bill Self doesn't lose. They need Peterson, and they need his scoring, and they need him in there for like continuity and to figure out like how much to use him, and then to get like this going in and out of the lineup constantly doesn't help matters. But I definitely would not say that, Kansas is better overall without him. Would you agree, Kai?
Yeah, no chance. No. And advanced stats kind of back that up with the on-off stuff if you're into that sort of thing. Their defense is amazing. That's why they've been staying afloat without him. But you can't go into the tournament with just Melvin Council as your scorer, so to speak. And Badunga's great, but they will not get far if Peterson is not in the lineup.
Yep, agreed. So yeah, Kansas on a roll right now. At Iowa State this weekend. We'll talk about that game later. At Oklahoma State, home against Cincy, and then they are home against Houston and at Arizona. So they schedule's tough, but it's not as tough as some of these other Big 12 teams down the stretch. Kansas is definitely in the conversation for a legit Final Four contender, but it's going to be all about Peterson down the stretch and how often he plays and when he plays. Kai, how about you? What's a key takeaway you have from this week?
Yeah, I'll be like Greg, and I'll say what everyone's been talking about also here. Bediako, I'm really glad to see him ineligible for Alabama. Nothing against him personally. I wanted this can of worms closed when you go pro and come back to college. I'm glad that it's apparently going to end with him. And I'm also just very disappointed in Nate Oates, who is a former high school coach, for leaning into this so hard. And now he's coming out for Bediako, and he's for this pro back to college route. Seems like he kind of flipped his stance this season. I don't think we needed Bruce Pearl to chime in on the Oates situation, but it's also great to hear that Bruce Pearl is on the side of sanity in this one. And I'm also just curious, how does this affect NCAA tournament perspective when you look at teams that lost to Alabama during this stretch? Or how do you grade Alabama, who got a couple wins with Bediako in the lineup? Should these wins be vacated? I don't think they will, but technically, I mean, they had a pro basketball player playing for them who was ineligible. It's just a strange situation. And I'm glad for the time being that it's kind of put to bed.
Yeah, another one just came down way off the radar. Connor Hickman for Charleston just got ruled ineligible for the rest of the season. But that was he was just not healthy. I mean, he's been playing for since he played at Bradley for 3 years, and since he but that I disagree with that one. I mean, there's 7 games left in the season. And you're going to come out with a ruling now?
Yeah, why are we waiting so long? It's ridiculous. Yeah. I don't understand that.
I could see if you did this early in the season, but I mean, to do it now to the kid, I mean, who basically had a real argument. He wasn't hurt. He was hurt in his 4th year and played this whole time. And then with 7 games left in the season, you say he's ineligible. I would say that Charleston would miss his shooting because he's shooting. I mean, in the past, he shot well from three, but no one on Charleston can make a three. He's shooting 28% this year, which is like the entire team. Anyway, I'm going to go more positive here, and I'm going to shout out a team some may not be familiar with. And we're going to the Atlantic Sun, and we're going to talk about Austin Peay, who's now 12-1 in the league, in first place, all alone. Corey Gibson's doing an amazing job there. But this is more about Colin Parker, the NAIA superstar that they got. I mean, this kid, he went against Queens. He went for 39 last night. He's gone 39, 27, 30, 30, 20. I mean, he is putting up numbers. I'm also a huge fan of their freshman point guard, Zaire Collins. So I really like this Austin Peay team. Very exciting. But just to see Parker, and I love when these teams, and this is what you have to do as a mid-major, as the kind of the separation in talent is growing between the top dogs and then the mid-majors and the low majors, because anyone who's good is gone right away. And I think, like, in order to create a team, and I'm not saying Austin Peay is this team, but to create a team that has because it's going to be so difficult to find Cinderellas anymore. Like a St. Peter's, a team that can make a run, just because the top is so much better and deeper. I think one of the ways that you can do that is you got to go find these diamonds in the rough, these NAIA guys, these D2 guys. And it might just be, 1 year of, what we saw at Drake, right? You have a D2 coach and a bunch of what we saw at UC San Diego. UC San Diego they should have won last year. I'm still mad about that. But shout out to Austin Peay and the Governors in first place in the A-Sun. Colin Parker is balling out. All right, let's get let's go to we'll go to Futures Roundtable now. So far, we've done a good job, boys. And Kai, you'll get credit since you're here now. We got St. Louis Final Four 80-1, down to like 25-1, I would say consensus. Purdue Final Four 6-1, bought them after their little skid. They got a big win at Nebraska, although they tried to give it away. Consensus there, I think 5-1. And then we have Virginia Final Four 20-1, which I think is down to consensus like 15-1. So timing wise, didn't mess anything up. We got in front of some streaks. We haven't lost any bad games since prices have come down. So for this week, Kai, curious, did you bring your own? I told Jim to text you what he would have brought. Are you guys using the same one, or does he have a separate one? Because we're going to use yours for this exercise. But did he have a separate one he texted you, or did he forget?
He has a separate one he texted me. I got one as well. Which one do you want to hear?
Well, his won't be part of this, so let's just unless we like really love it and are blown away. But I can't imagine being blown away by one of Jim's bets. I'm kidding. No. But what's he
got? He's got Memphis to win the American 13-1 right now. So his reasoning. They're only 1.5 games back of South Florida. They play them 2 more times. They match up athletically. They still have, of course, elite talent for the American. Caveats, they're tied with Tulsa, and Tulsa's a tiebreak. Tulsa does still play at Tulane and Wichita, so they could lose. And then, of course, South Florida can be inconsistent, can be a frustrating team, could definitely drop a few down the stretch. So Jim likes Memphis to win the American.
Yeah. The problem with that bet, giving that out now, is that they're playing
North Texas.
They're playing North Texas right now. So
right.
That's going to go, and that's like a coin flip game. So that's going to go a long way and determine things. My fear with Memphis, though, is they are like, they'll just drop games that you don't expect them to. So like, I would be worried that they'll lose at home to Wichita State, for example, or lose at home to UAB. UAB, by the way, they don't lose on the road. I think they're the only. They're one of the only. They might be the only team in the country that's undefeated on the road in conference play. I doubt that's true, but maybe I just made that up. But they haven't lost on the road in conference play. They've won at South Florida, ECU, Tulane, UTSA, North Texas, and Tulsa, and they have a bunch of home losses. It's a very bizarre team. All right, so Jim, like, I'm sure from a price perspective in the variance, it's decent, but they're playing North Texas now, so like the price is probably going to change based on this result. So I'm glad that we're not using that. So I'll let you go first, Kai. What do you got?
Yeah, well, I like it's a little bit, maybe late in the game here, but Florida 15-1 to win the title. I'm just pretty much all in on this team. Guard play be damned, but I still think Boogie Flan can be the guy in March from a backcourt perspective. Rebounding, dominant bigs, and a very, very smart coach can take you a long way in the tournament. And I think right now, when you look at Florida compared to other teams, I think they're priced pretty well in terms of betting. Right now, they're projected as a 3 seed in bracket matrix. I think they're going to be a 2 seed. Their resume is 2 seed or going to be heading that way. And down the stretch here, they might not lose another game in the SEC. They have Kentucky twice. I'm not super worried about that. They have Arkansas at home, but they have the egg teams, Mississippi State, and they have South Carolina. So they might win the SEC by a few games, and I can see this future getting shorter.
Yeah, one game I would be worried about, Texas. That's probably going to depend on the fouls, how that game's called. There's going to be a ton of fouls in that game. Texas is one of those teams that just can beat anyone on any given day. My pushback on Florida, the bigs, the rebounding. Chenalo has turned into one hell of a player, right in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. Like, if you look at in the SEC this year, which is way down, especially compared to last year, like just it's the top of the SEC is way down. What front line in the SEC are you like petrified of, right? Like there's not really a front line that can go toe to toe with Florida.
Mm-mm.
So my fear is, in order to win the national title, when they go up against the other elite teams in the country, and none of them are in the SEC, right? Like, I don't think you can include Florida. There's not another top 10 team in the SEC. If you go up against some of the other top 10 teams that have elite bigs, elite size, that can neutralize Florida and play with them, right? Like, you take Florida against Arizona, right? Then it's going to come down to, okay, I don't trust Florida's backcourt as much, and that's when I think that weakness shows up. That'd be my only pushback, is that Florida can really get away with, lacking backcourt play because their front court can be so dominant in the SEC, and it gives them such a high floor once again in the tournament. Then you're very well coached, but just can they beat the elite of the elites that can match them inside? That's my main question.
It's a good question. And we saw Florida play Arizona opening day right this year and had a 10-point lead against them, and they've ended up falling. And yeah, guard play wasn't great in that game. That's definitely their weakness. Hopefully you can think they've improved since then. I think they have, but it's a fair question.
Yeah. But arguably so is Arizona with all their freshmen.
Yeah, they're great.
Also, if they ever get some positive shooting regression here, Boogie Fland is shooting 5 for 37 in conference play from 3. It's absurd. He was like 20% in the non-con. Somehow it's worse in SEC play. I just keep waiting for that 1 month where they make shots and everything looks great.
Yeah, they're shooting 29%. They're 349th in the country in 3-point percentage. And
Boogie can make shots. Like, he was a high volume, prolific 3-point shooter last year.
Yeah. And Lee, granted it was in the Ivy League. He shot 36% from 3 before. If their guards are, if Lee and Flan can just get hot in the tournament for a couple games in a row, then look out. But obviously that's the main concern because the front line is as good as it gets. Greg, what do you got?
So before you go, Stuck, just spoiler, I love all 3 of ours. This is the first week where I'm like, hell yeah, I want to add all 3 of these. So good job, boys. I'm going to take a play out of Stuckey's book, though, here. I'm going to a team that we discussed at length a week ago, and I'm going back to the well until they're in our card. I have Illinois 14-1 to win the title. I think this is the time to, quote-unquote, buy low on the Illini. Back-to-back overtime losses with injury situations that we think are either going to end as soon as this weekend at home against Indiana, or definitely but next week by the West Coast trip. Boswell is rumored to be back. He's back to practice. They're acting like he could go this weekend. And Stojakovic's thing seems like a fluke ankle injury that they're honestly frustrated he didn't play against Wisconsin. They get bit. The Badgers make 16 threes. They do that giant slayer thing like once a month, it seems like. But I'm still as in on this Illinois team as I was a week ago when we strongly considered taking them to make a run and win the Big Ten. They've got the schedule for it here. They have Indiana at home, USC and UCLA on the road, but they're going to beat up UCLA on the boards. And then Michigan at home, Oregon and Maryland to close it. I mean, I see 5-1, potentially 6-0 down the stretch, even if they have 1 to 2 games still without Boswell or Stojakovic. This offense is so lethal. It's historically great. Wagler is the dude that you want to back in the backcourt in March. I think they have the size and the skill in the front court to really pose problems when you think about those elite title contenders, Arizona, Michigan, even Florida. Maybe the one thing they don't want to see is a front court that's 7 foot that can stretch them out and shoot the way that Illinois can. I think this could be the year for Brad, and it's the right time to jump.
Yeah, one bet that I made that didn't work out last week, talked on this show about St. John's to win the Big East before the UConn game, and then Illinois to win the Big Ten before the Michigan State game. And then they lose 2 overtime games in a row. I don't even blame them that much for Wisconsin. I mean, they had a 6-man rotation after 3 days after that Michigan State overtime game on the road. But that was tough. They can still do it, but they're going to need help now. They need Michigan. They need to win out pretty much, if anyone followed along. And then Michigan needs to – I mean, they could win out. And then Michigan needs to lose at Purdue or at Iowa. And then Illinois obviously has to, en route to winning out, they beat Michigan at home. Still alive, but man, if they got even one of those 2 overtime games, I would agree. We talked about this last week. Illinois, I think, has a higher ceiling this year because they have changed they're more well-versed defensively. It's not just pure drop, right? And I mean, you can go look at you just go to their KenPom profile and look every single year. It's like the same exact profile. And then this year it's a bit different. So they're a little bit more varied on that end of the floor and a little bit more versatile, which I think is important in a tournament setting. So yeah, I don't mind buying in on Illinois now after two back-to-back losses. I'm going to go with a team we talked about last week on our live show. This team cost us our parlay, Greg, sadly. I'm going to go with Tennessee to make the Final Four, which maybe we should just cross that off right away because that's never happened. Tennessee to make the Final Four. And by the way, Greg, I can get you 15-1 out there on Illinois.
Okay.
Tennessee to make the Final Four, 18-1. So they've only lost 2 games over the past month, and they were both to Kentucky by a bucket each after they were led. I don't know what happened in both those games. And then they couldn't even cover plus 1.5. They out-rebounded Kentucky by 20 and couldn't grab the rebound on the front-end miss. Unbelievable meltdown. But we've talked about the development of Nate Ament, and he's been incredible. A guy who I didn't think he was going to be ready to lead a team, to be an elite scorer. He just looked like he was a year away. But his production has ramped up. And I think they've started to develop some depth in the interior with some of their young guys. This is a team with a high floor, rebounding. You have a very good point guard, very senior-laden point guard, Jacoby Gillespie. And then you have what you pretty much need nowadays to make a run is you have, a potential lottery pick in Ament who can get hot, make tough shots, carry you for stretches when you're cold. And one of the reasons I want to buy this now at 18-1, and by the way, if you go to I show value in this number, which is why I bought it. My other, just for reference, I wanted to kind of buy into Iowa State. Final Four numbers is 4-1, and there's just not much value there. But they have Houston and they've lost to TCU. They have Houston and Kansas at home coming this weekend. So they take care of business there. Their odds of a 1 seed go up. Their odds are probably going to drop down. But if we look at just Torvik has Tennessee with right around a 10% chance of making it to the Final Four. And I'm not far off from that. So an 18-1, I think, is not only a decent price. Here's their schedule coming up. LSU at home, Oklahoma at home. They have games. They're at Vandy, and then they host Vandy also. They probably split, but I mean, that's a game where their size could do some damage against Vandy. And then they're at Missouri, home against Alabama, and at South Carolina. That's the rest of their schedule. I mean, they easily go 6-1 there. So I think this is the right time to buy, especially, ahead of two games where they're going to be double-digit favorites. So, yeah, give me Tennessee and their very high floor with their rebounding and the emergence of Nate Ament. So we have Tennessee, but actually number one is going to be Florida to win the national title. Number two is Illinois. 15-1, 15-1. And then Tennessee is number three at 18-1 Final Four. So hold up on 3, 2, 1. You're going to hold up 1 for Florida, 2 for Illinois, 3 for Tennessee. 3, 2, 1. Greg with a victory.
All we needed was a roster change for me to get one stuck. This is huge.
Greg has never won this. He's on the board. So I like the vibes with this. Greg's first bet. Illinois, add it to the portfolio. All right, before we get to the weekend, let's get a little buy low, sell high. Kai, I'll go to you. Who are you looking to buy low or sell high on?
Yeah, you might think I'm a little crazy here. I'm buying low on UCLA, fellas. I know. I saw the face, Greg. I saw the face. The Sky Clark return's imminent, and this is a team that I thought had mega potential in the preseason, perhaps stupidly, but I thought this was a top 15 capable team in the preseason with Donovan Dent, with Tyler Bilodeau. They have a brutal stretch coming up. So maybe the floor, maybe they're not even towards the floor yet with at Michigan State, Illinois at home coming up. I'm sure Mick Cronin's going to complain about that one. Somehow the scheduler screwed him again. So maybe you can wait a week, but I think this team still has a lot of potential. And heck, if they don't do very well in those next 3 games, be a very dangerous double-digit seed in March.
Yeah, Clark back will help. I think Dent is starting to get it. I mean, there was a time where I was like, is this going to work? And I the him and Cronin marriage, I thought was just headed for an imminent divorce, but he started to play a little bit more consistent. Bilodeau is amazing. I mean, he's shooting the lights out too. And Trent Perry, that's one of the things that has really came about with Clark's injury is the emergence of Perry, who's also shooting the ball really well. There's still a little soft inside, which worries me against Michigan and Michigan State coming up. But no doubt, team has some potential if all the pieces can fit together. Greg, how about you? Who are you buying low on, selling high on?
I'm going to sell high on Louisville. I think this is the right time looking at the schedule. They've won 4 straight, 118 points. Michael Brown setting the scoring record for the program this week, and just feel good vibes all around. Smile, smile. Will Wade is hanging his head. It's about to get real. They got Baylor in Fort Worth. 5 of their last 7 are away from the Yum, including away games at SMU, North Carolina, Clemson, and Miami. That North Carolina game possibly made infinitely easier depending on the status of Caleb Wilson, of course. But I just want no part of this team in big games. I mean, you can draw a line through their schedule at this point. They win home games against non-top 25 opponents, and maybe they masquerade as big wins. But anytime they have to go on the road against anybody with a pulse, or even play home games against Duke and Virginia, legitimate teams that are second weekend potential teams, they just haven't had anything for those teams. It's just the same classic Pat Kelsey gimmick. And I think as great as Michael was this week, he's shooting 31% from three on the season. I think if they lean heavier and heavier into that, it's unlikely to yield the same result. I could see them really fizzling down the stretch.
Brown was incredible in that game. Yeah, I mean, if he could shoot the three like that more consistently, man, then that offense is a juggernaut. But they still have some issues on the defensive end. I'm going to go with Murray State. They're playing right now, so if they lose at Indiana State, I'll look dumb. But this is a team over the past month that is shooting 30% from three, 312th in the country. That's high volume, and it's a decent shooting team. And teams on low volume, because they take away the three with their defensive structure, are shooting 41%. That's 312th in the country on offense, 345th on defense. And so I think they've been a bit unlucky. They get a rematch with Belmont on Sunday at home. They were eviscerated at Belmont when Belmont, I think, was opened the game 13 of 19 from three. I actually don't think it's a terrible matchup for Murray State in that they're going to be able to get their shots up, looming regression. They're going to get 3-point looks. And Belmont's not a heavy pick and roll offense, which is where Murray State's defense really struggles. So I think it's a decent matchup, decent spot. And it's a team that just has a bunch of looming shooting regression. And maybe Belmont won't shoot 50% from three every game the rest of the year, although they can shoot the rock. So I'm going to invest in Murray State. And if you haven't checked out my guy Doman, they're a freshman. I love watching him play. Roman Doman. Guy can fill it up. Kai, any thoughts on Murray or I didn't get your thoughts on the futures, why, if you liked Tennessee or Illinois more and why?
Yeah, I liked Tennessee. Their offense. I've seen them with Gillespie in foul trouble, and I want no part of it. So I just think they have one player away from being first round exit, which Rick Barnes is familiar with. Illinois, I just think is a juggernaut. Greg mentioned historical. I didn't realize number 1 O rating in KenPom history right now. That's insane. As far as Murray, Doman is a stud. I love that guy. Yeah. It's frankly shocking they've dropped several games lately. They started 8-0 in the Valley, but they are the most talented team in that league. And if they just figure out how to play defense, shooting regression would certainly help. I think they can win the Arch Madness tournament and make a run.
All right, let's get to the upcoming weekend. Some good games on the docket. Before we get to Saturday, man, there was 2 really good spots that I had circled for weeks that might have gotten ruined that I'll mention. GW against George Mason. GW they lose by 1 or 2 for years to George Mason. This George Mason team is fraudulent. I wanted GW in the rematch, but now I don't know Castro's status. He's obviously super important. George Mason just got embarrassed. So the spot, the injuries, and GW I think on the opening line is -2.5. If Castro's back, I'd play it, but they keep saying day to day. I think he might be out long term. And then I wanted Wisconsin so bad against Michigan State. They can keep them out of transition, keep them off the offensive glass, got Rat back. But now they win at Illinois. Rating goes up. Over the past 7 days, Michigan State's been resting. Wisconsin has played 2 overtime games. You had Blackwell and Boyd played 45 and 44 minutes. And Wisconsin's not going to score inside against Michigan State. They're going to need to hit jumpers. And if their legs are not there, then that's going to open up some transition opportunities for Michigan State. And Wisconsin's good in transition defense, but they're not like Minnesota where they never, ever allow transition opportunities. So I fear that everything that's happened over the past couple of weeks has ruined 2 games that I almost assuredly would have bet. Greg, I know you're very in tune with the Big Ten. Do you have any early thoughts on Sparty, Wisconsin?
I'm just right there with you. I had it circled. I wanted Wisconsin, and then they just sneak that overtime win against Illinois that none of us expected, and now I want no part of it. I mean, it's also essentially an elimination game for Michigan State, trying to hang in that 2 games back of Michigan pack, knowing they have Michigan at the end of the year. Just feels like a game where they find a way to destroy them on the boards, and maybe Boyd runs out of gas after playing 45 minutes against Illinois. But the math certainly favors Wisconsin in that game if they can make some shots.
Yeah, that's what it's going to come down to. I mean, maybe I will look at the under, but then if Wisconsin's legs aren't there, maybe that hurts defense. But both teams can theoretically, there's not going to be a turn. Like Michigan State will turn over. Wisconsin doesn't turn you over. Wisconsin doesn't turn it over. So there's not going to be a lot of like live ball turnovers. Both teams are good on the defensive glass. There's not going to be a lot of second chance opportunities. So I could see this being played more of a half court grinder, maybe an under. But that could get scary as well. Do you have any thoughts there, Kai, on either one of those games?
Not really. I lean towards Sparty, actually. I think they're the better team. Wisconsin obviously can throw a haymaker, but I think Michigan State's going to overcome Wisconsin's good stats in the defensive glass. I think Michigan State still has the edge there. And Fears, arguably the best point guard in the country right now. He's been insane. If he's allowed to trip, that is.
Brad Davidson on the sidelines for that one. That could be like a big in front of your idol moment.
Yeah, definitely. So extra motivation for Michigan State.
All right, before we move on, here's your weekly reminder to sign up for Action Pro. Action Pro users get real-time, immediate notifications when any of our action experts track a pick. Whether that's Chris Raybon, Sean Kerner, myself, or any of our experts, you'll want to get that notification before lines start to move. Right now, you can get $20 off a year of Action Pro with promo code POD20. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro to get started. That's promo code POD20 for $20 off an annual subscription at actionnetwork.com/pro. All right, rapid fire weekend preview. Will go around the horn until we're out of them. I'll start. I'm going to go hoping this game is around a pick. Northern Colorado. This is a team that I'm looking to invest in. Really disappointing start in the Big Sky, but it's kind of finding their footing here. Revenge against Portland State is making the tough trip. They're going down to Flagstaff, then up to altitude in Greeley. They can keep Portland State off the offensive glass, which is really their best offensive recourse. And I'm just going to trust Northern Colorado and my boy Quinn Denker at home. Portland State, I mean, you go back to what this team has done on the road. They beat Weber State in overtime. We're dead in that game. Idaho State in overtime. We're dead in that game. They beat Eastern Washington by 4. Idaho by 3. They just beat Sacramento State by 1. And you go back, they lost to Colorado, Tulane. This team has pulled so many rabbits out of their ass. I mean, they easily could have 4 or 5 losses in league play. No one can make a 3 against them either. Northern Colorado at home in Greeley. Give me Denker and company. Kai, what do you got?
All right, no offense to Jim's American future play, but this doesn't count against it. I'm taking Utah State against Memphis. Ken Palm's got it 14, but what a weird scheduling quirk in February. Memphis playing in North Texas on Thursday. It's a tight turnaround game to Saturday going to Elevation, Utah State, who is legit, who has a much better coach. Their zone is going to confound Memphis. I think there's going to be a ton of turnovers, and Utah State's also going to win the glass battle. So I think it's going to be a bit of a blowout for the Aggies.
Not afraid of Penny as a dog? Penny as a big dog?
Not this year.
Yeah, not the same juice this year. Greg, what do you got?
Confused Doug McDaniel cancels out Penny as a dog, I think. That's how that works.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Nebraska here. I've been waiting to pounce on this Huskers team that has just been through a gauntlet, right? I mean, they almost come back and get Purdue. Obviously, there could be like an early first 10 minutes lingering after effect of that. But, man, this team's really good. I think they're legit. I think losing single-digit ball games to Michigan, Illinois, Purdue is not necessarily an indictment on them. Now they get a Northwestern team that is on the very last leg of their own schedule gauntlet. They've gone at Illinois, at Iowa. They lead Michigan by 16 early in the second half. They just have to be out of gas. And I think this scheme, Nebraska defensively, they force you to shoot half your shots from 3. Northwestern doesn't have an answer for that. They did play once earlier this year in Evanston. Nebraska destroyed them, won that game by 19 in Evanston. I just think this is a total cathartic Cornhuskers win by 30.
Yeah, I mean, Northwestern doesn't turn the ball over, which is a good thing against Nebraska. forces a ton of turnovers, two to the ball. They're going to pressure you. But you need to hit threes against this Nebraska defense. And Northwestern just can't. I'm going to go Clemson against Duke. I'm thinking, can we get like 12 here? Get like 12. It'll probably be like 10.5. But I think we're going to get double digits. I don't think that people or the market realizes how important Ngungba is. I mean, when he's on the floor, he's arguably been Duke's overall second most important player behind Boozer this year. And they just become so much harder to score on. He obviously provides just another long wingspan at the rim. And this is a Clemson team that obviously wants to go inside. So I like I just talked about, Clemson, very consistent. They're very deep. Like, they have a ton of depth. Can throw bodies at you. They can throw bodies at Boozer. And I think they can turn Duke over some. They do a really good job on the defensive glass, which you need to do against Duke because Duke will kill you there. And I really did think they got scheduled against Vatech. Coming back from the West Coast, looking ahead to this Duke game. I don't know if Ngungba was going to play, but it sounded like he's not going to play from some of the quotes. Like, just, we want to make sure he's ready. He wasn't close to being ready last game at Pitt. I mean, this is a couple days later. So, this will be a low-scoring game. Clemson grinds these games down. So I think they can keep this within single digits. Kai?
I like it. I'm going Iron Bowl round 2. Arkansas hosting Auburn. Kimpom's got it 7. It's a bounce back game for them. They lost by 18 in the jungle in round 1. Just wasn't a good game for them. Keyshawn Hall.
Did you just call Auburn Arkansas Iron Bowl?
Oh, shoot.
You're going to get a lot of shit for that.
Erase it.
Keep that in there, producer.
Hey, man, it's been a long week. Arkansas, Auburn, whatever they call this game, the Battle of the A's. Does this have a name? Anyways, I think they.
I don't think so. My college football
co-host
would know. But
I'd apologize, but
I don't know. But go ahead.
It's okay. I won't. Anyways, I think they avenged their loss. Keyshawn Hall is a huge problem for them. But I think Auburn cools off from last game against them. And of course, Arkansas is just much better at home. 9-4 against the spread this year, 12-1 straight up. They win games at home. I think they exact their revenge and win by doubles.
Arkansas is quietly playing now. It was Mississippi State and LSU on the road, but 2 road games where they went and just gave the other team no chance in dominant fashion. Those are impressive wins. Like, I get that Mississippi State and LSU are way down, but when you can go and you're up like 20 the entire game, you have to be impressed. Let me see. What else do I got here? Obvious spot on the calendar. I don't know if I'm going to get there. Iowa at home after the loss at Maryland, Purdue coming off the overtime win against Nebraska. They're going to throw a ton of bodies at Sturts. Can someone else on Iowa make a shot? That's what this is going to come down to. I mean, over the last 2 games, Sturts is 8 of 16 from 3. The rest of the team is 4 of 30. So at home, I don't know. I think that they can expose Purdue's D in some ways. It is a great spot. They are soft inside, though, which does scare me against Purdue. But that is one of the 2 obvious spots on the board. The other one is Iowa State coming off the TCU loss, Kansas riding high. Greg, I think you're interested in the Cyclones at home.
Give me that one. It's the spot. It's just a 100% all systems go green light spot. This is the, first of all, revenge swing from when Kansas destroyed them at Allen Fieldhouse earlier
they're up like 44-18, I think, in that game.
Could not miss. They shot 50% from 3 in that game. It felt like 70% from 3 in the first half. I think Iowa State is the better team. Iowa State, of course, coming off a very disheartening effort against TCU. Kansas coming off the front page headline, biggest win of the year without Darren Peterson against Arizona. It's just a respect for TJ Otzelberger, Ames, Taman Lipsey play. One note, Kansas hasn't won in Ames in 3 attempts. The average margin of victory for Iowa State in those games is 12, 2 blowouts. I just think it's a must-play spot.
I would tend to agree. I'll be on Iowa State in some form or fashion. Can we get 5? Maybe, hopefully. Kai, what else you got?
Yeah, I got another one here. NC State hosting Miami. Another spot on the board, right? They're off the mega loss to Louisville. Miami's off that surprising to me win against UNC. Great positional size battle. Lots of big bodies out there. Going to be fun to watch. Will Wade over Jai Lucas all day. Miami can't shoot, and NC State really forces teams to beat them over the top. So I like NC State here. Ken Palm's got a 5. I'm sure they'll take money. Probably take it up to 7.
Yeah, I mean, you have to shoot to beat NC State because they got to pack it in. Their perimeter defense is very suspect. Miami can't shoot. That's going to be problematic. Greg, other marquee games that you might be interested in. Here's an interesting one. Houston, Kansas State. I don't know what to make of this one. Like, Kansas State has been absolutely dreadful, and they got called out by Tang. He might be gone. Like, he said, this is embarrassing. Houston now hosts Kansas State. They're going to be laying like 20-something. I don't know, to 20. But Houston then has Iowa State, Arizona, and Kansas on deck. Like, are they fully focused for this game? Does Kansas State care? Do they even show up? Or do they have? Is it like a prideful effort and they lose by 12? I don't know. What do you make of that game?
Yeah, it's honestly, I saw the Jerome Tang press conference and I was just like, okay, Houston, let's go. If Tang's fired by this game, I'll be out on this. I think that team has obviously quit on the season. I think that was obvious 2 weeks ago, and maybe Jerome Tang just discovered it. But to me, a team that I don't expect to respond to that whatsoever, that plays a very unserious brand of basketball, is running into a total buzzsaw here. I think that Houston, there's been some spots in the Big 12 this year that I think feel like look-ahead spots. I would even point to Arizona when they had Oklahoma State last weekend at home, right before Kansas on Monday. And it's like, okay, look-ahead spot. And then they were just up like 30 by halftime. That's sort of what I expect here from a Kelvin Sampson team that is relentless, looks like they're getting better and better. And I just think will not make mistakes to let Kansas State hang in that game. That's honestly, you're right, Stuck. It's kind of a like, no, don't do that spot. But for me, I can't do it quickly enough.
Kai, Marquette, Xavier, two teams. The Big East is very, very down this year. But Marquette is playing much better of late. And I mean, Nigel James has been a positive revelation, but they've had, you had guys like Adrian Stevens is playing a bigger role, and he's playing well lately. Like, there's a nice youth movement on Marquette. And then the same thing with Xavier. This is a team that's playing better of late as well. They took St. John's to overtime. I know they were eviscerated at Connecticut, but this is a team that has shown a little bit more life. So that's a pretty interesting game for two teams that won't be in the tournament. Who do you like there?
I like Marquette. I was on them a lot earlier in the year, and that did not work out, obviously. But they are playing a lot better. They could have beaten Seton Hall and Villanova, both on the road, had them down. They've covered 4 in a row. In the game 1 against Xavier, they led by as many as 13. That game ended close, but they killed them on the boards, and Xavier shot way better from 3. So I expect Marquette to compete here. Ken Palm's got a 4. Would love +4.
Yeah, I mean, Xavier's not going to kill him on the offensive glass, and that's one of the ways that you can just completely dominate Marquette. But yeah, they're playing much, much better, much more confident group that's sort of figured out their identity. Greg, anything else for you? Virginia, Ohio State. I think you both might like Virginia here. I mean, is this just a fate of Ohio State and their soft interior?
Diebler spot bet there. Every time Diebler looks like he's on the inside of the tournament bubble, I'm ready to just tell him he's going to lose his next game. And I think Virginia dominates the boards. Like, I love this Virginia team. We've got a Final Four future on them already. I don't see much resistance from Tilly inside for Ohio State here. Should just be a pull away overtime game. Kai, you have anything to add? I think you like that too.
Yeah, that's the favorite weekend play. I just think they smoke them, right? Better team, better coach, massive rebounding edge. Those are the top 3 reasons.
Yeah. Stuck, can I also shout Texas Tech Zona quickly? Yeah. Maybe you guys can talk me off this ledge, honestly. What do you think this opens at?
It's a good question.
Ken Palm's got 11.
I mean, Arizona's off a loss. I would say, where do I think this open? I would guess 10.
I was going to say, can we get double digits?
I think it's going to 10 ish, right around 10.
If we get 10, this is a simple, I respect Grant McCaslin play for me. Arizona played Texas Tech 3 times last season. The 2 losses for Texas Tech were close games, toss-up type games, and then they beat them by 16, I believe, at home. Look, Arizona is awesome. They are going to respond almost certainly from the Kansas game. But I think this Texas Tech team has been up for their big games. I mean, I can't shake the Duke comeback. I think they got Houston and played Houston wire to wire for 40 minutes both games. If this is supposed to be an Arizona blowout, I'm not sure I see it. And I might regret saying this. I kind of want to sell high on Arizona. They shoot so many tough mid-range shots, and they haven't played any of the good teams in the Big 12. And I think that works against all of the bad teams in the Big 12. But I wonder if they're going to get bit more than we expect down the stretch by teams that have talent to hang, have great coaches that can kind of scheme around that and play the math war. McCaslin will do that. His teams are going to shoot a bunch of threes. I just think if they fall, that's a really good number.
Yeah, I actually might even prefer the money line maybe over the spread, just because like Texas Tech is going to bomb threes here, and Arizona has the size to kind of just throw at top, and so they're just going to shoot a ton of threes. And if they're like red hot, they can win this game. In math, Arizona is not going to take a ton of threes, but if they're off, I mean, Arizona's going to get every rebound and kill them inside. So I feel like this game is either Texas Tech makes it 17 threes and wins, or they lose by 20. Do you have any thoughts there, Kai?
Slight lean to Texas Tech. I really worry about Arizona's size kind of bottling up Toppin. But to Greg's point, I mean, Texas Tech has basically beaten Houston twice, and Houston theoretically could do the same thing against Toppin. They haven't been able to do it. And Christian Anderson's a dog. So is Jason Petty, for that matter. That guy is awesome, too. Doubles, I would definitely lean towards a Grant McCaslin team catching doubles.
Yeah. My fear, though, is Toppin gets in foul trouble.
Yeah, curtains.
And it's
lights inside, because they won't be able to hang for a second. All right. Oh, by the way, I buried one of the leads of the day in college basketball. Big story out of Carolina and Caleb Wilson, hand injury. Don't know when or if he's going to be back. That pretty much makes UNC irrelevant if he's not. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Completely irrelevant. My hot take of the day is Georgia's going to miss the tournament, by the way. All right. Before we get out of here, favorite play of the weekend, obviously line dependent, but just as of right now, Kai, you mentioned yours, Virginia?
Correct. Virginia.
Greg?
I'm going Huskers over Northwestern.
And I'm going to go Northern Colorado in Greeley. Give me the Bears. That'll do it for us and all of our coverage of the Iron Bowl here on Big Bets on Campus. We will be back with a live show on Saturday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. 3 episodes next week. Make sure you check out the guys in midweek. 3-Man Week will have us covered early week. Out of the future. Talk the weekend, week that was. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to Greg for joining me. Thanks to Kai for filling in for Jim. Hope Jim has safe travels. We'll probably see him next week. Thanks to our producers on the back end. Most importantly, thanks to all of you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, unsubscribe, tell a friend, tell an enemy, you know the drill. Leave a 5-star review if you get an extra second. We've won you any money. Really helps us out. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you Saturday and then again next week. March will be here before we know it. Cheers.